Hello, Eric Smith here, and I wanted to go over very quickly some fundamental concepts about state charts or tables. Here we have a very simple table, and the categories here across the top are collective, meaning many people, or individual, and across the side the categories are quantitative and qualitative. So these establish very distinct categories in the different cells of the table. And what we see here is that if we are making a quantitative judgment about the collective or a group of people, we may arrive at an objective judgment. For example, what was the quantity of people present at the baseball game? Well, we will arrive at an objective number such as 435 people. On the other hand, if we are in this sector of the table and in this state where we're looking at an individual situation in a qualitative way, then we are probably looking at their subjective state of mind and other value-based characteristics. So the situation here is that these state charts or tables are used in my book on graphical law, and you can see that these tables or state charts are quite a bit different than flow charts. Now, flow charts can be very illustrative and useful. There's just one major difference between flow charts and state charts to be noted. So, for example, let's say we have, a lot of times books have flow charts, and what they indicate is that you will flow from state A to state B, and then given a decision factor or a factor that may make a difference, you may flow to state C or to state D, and then you keep on going through the flow chart. Those flow charts are arrived at by considering the most important flows, that is, the most important transitions between states. So if we look here at the fuller situation of what is going on underneath any flow chart, it's illustrated here on the right hand side. From state 1, it may be possible to flow anywhere to state 2, 3, 4, and 5 given changes in factors. For example, let's say state number 1 is that you have sued someone. State number 2 is the state where both you have sued someone and they have sued you. So the transition between those two will be that they have sued you. That act of suing you will have transitioned the situation from state number 1 to state number 2. Now you then may have many other transitions, such as has a motion to dismiss been filed, has evidence been examined, has the judge or the finder of fact found certain things to be true, have certain elements of the crime been established, and so forth. Each of these occurrences may transition us or will transition us from one state to another. And so there really are many transitions to be examined in the full situation. Here we have only 5 states, which would say that at any point we can change one of 4 factors and transition to any one of the 4 other states. In real legal situations, of course, the number of states can be very large. 100, 200, perhaps 2,000 or more. So anyhow, in this little example, we say here that the state of being can be more fundamental than the flow between the states. So, for example, if we have 5 states of being, and we are looking at only a one-step directional flow to transition us to the next state, from any one of the 5 states, we have 4 possible moves to make to the other states. Of course, we can start off at any one of the 5 states. So we have 20 one-step directional flows to look at. Now, how about if we look at 2 steps between states? There we end up with 80 two-step directional flows. We end up with 320 3-step directional flows. That is, for example, a 3-step directional flow would be start off in state number 1, transition to state number 4, transition to state number 3, transition to state number 2. That would be a 3-step flow. If we're looking at a 4-step flow, we end up with 1,280 directional flows. That is, if we look at 4-step directional flows, we could end up with 1,280 flow charts to illustrate. Now you may notice that sometimes when flow charts are used in study guides, you will see one flow chart on the page. You will not see 1,280 flow charts or more flow charts, given more complex legal situations. So what they do in flow charts is that they basically pick out probably the most usual flows, or perhaps the most important flows, or the flows that most define a situation or help you define a situation, and those are the flows that are shown. And flowcharts are very good. They're very useful. Sometimes, though, a different tool is needed, and that would be a state chart, something that looks like a table or a Venn diagram, and that would show you really the fuller situation present in the background, and not one particular directional flow chosen to illustrate flow chart.